So here I am providing an outline of the C-sharp programming language, which is basically an object-oriented programming language. So as we can see, C-sharp is a more recent language. It is object-oriented. It is very similar to the language known as Java. And so what I had on the screen before is the homepage for the Microsoft .NET framework. And if you use the Windows operating system, there's a very, very large chance that you have some sort of .NET framework installed because it is core for a lot of Windows applications. And as you can see here, it is supported on many, many operating systems, including multiple varieties of Linux, Mac OS, which is the new renamed Mac OS X. Let's see. So back to the outline. The history is very simple. It is a C-based language, hence the name C#. And it came 6 years after Java. Basically, in all these C-based languages, there were many flaws. So what C# did is it incorporated a very simple coding environment using a program called Visual Studio on Windows, which essentially kind of makes coding a lot more simple for people who want to get into it, or just people who are not very familiar with this in general. And it kind of helps kickstart a lot of Windows development. So one thing that I've used this language before is in a design environment called Unity. Unity is essentially for creating games, and I created this game in my free time last year. And essentially, in this program, Unity, it's basically a design environment where in here I have animations, artwork, fonts, materials, prefab scenes, and scripts. So if I hit play here, it'll compile the game. Actually, yep, it will. I thought there were some bugs for a sec. And essentially, it's a very simple game with a timer mechanism and a jump mechanic, just to see how long you can last. If you get stuck on top of a creature, then you lose. The game was all created with free online graphics, just kind of as a fun project. So back to the language at hand, in the scripts folder, I have all of these separate scripts that were all created in C#. And so when I click on one, it'll open them up in Microsoft Visual Studio, which is the design environment. And as you can see, it has all of the methods built in and all these specific parameters which go hand in hand with Unity, which really makes it simple. So if I wanted to implement rigid body 2D, let's say I was typing it from scratch, I have all of these different options where I can edit the code, and it just kind of streamlines the application process. So a couple pros of this language are, well, you can see the code up here in this window at the top right of the screen. There's just a bunch of code and just examples of C# scripts. So some pros of the code are, it is very simple. As you can see before, it can call variables from, or just it can call certain objects from tons of different libraries or APIs, such as the Unity API, which has tons of different methods for like timers or basically input methods such as the keyboard, mouse, a touch screen for mobile devices. But one of the main cons is that it's mainly for developing on the Microsoft platform, which is the .NET framework, which I brought up before, which is basically for building applications just on Windows. And with this, there's not that much flexibility, even though it is a very simple language with many uses. It is generally built around Windows development.